Hey church girl, welcome to Church Girl Gang, a podcast where we get to talk about life, living for Jesus, and everything in between, and how that affects us in the here and now. My name is Kenzie, and I'll be your host, and I can't wait to dive into this conversation with you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Church Girl Gang. I'm so glad that you've decided to join me for another episode. Just a reminder, my name is Kenzie, and I will be your host for today's podcast. And just another reminder that Church Girl Gang is a community of girls. We're looking to spur one another on, to connect, and to grow closer to Jesus together. And today is going to be a great podcast because I have a very special guest on today. Her name is Ashtyn Crank. She is incredible, church girl for life, and I really think that you are going to enjoy hearing from her. Usually I give you guys some kind of thought or word, but I am just so pumped for what she is going to share and what we're going to share together today that I want to jump right into today's episode. So let's hear from Ashtyn right now. Hey Ashtyn, how's it going? You ready for today's episode?
I'm so good. I'm pumped. I can't wait to dive deep.
It's going to be good. Well, I wanted to share with everyone, at least where I first met you, where I remember meeting you the first time, and that is at PK Vacay Camp.
Yeah.
And yeah, girl, I don't know about you, but I love going to this camp. It's like a blast every year.
It is. It's the Met Gala of church kid fashion, I feel like. PK Vacay.
If that's true, then you're the ultimate, you're the winner of the Met Gala. Like, you show up and show out. And I don't know how you do it.
You are so funny. No, I look a mess at PK Vacay, but it's so fun and awesome that you get to just like have community with other pastors' kids. And I got to meet you, which led to this. So that's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The most embarrassing thing about PK Vacay, at least for me, or well, in the past, has been my hair. And I'll tell you why. Well, first of all, I don't do good messy hair. Like, some people are just like, some girls, they walk around and they could like be full on sweaty, but they still look cute. And I don't know how they do it, but I am not that girl. And especially at this camp, I remember the past 2 years I had bangs, and bangs and sweat do not mix. So I was just braiding my hair back in these like pigtails because it was like too short. The bangs were too short to just put in a ponytail. It was awful. Every single day, these like braided pigtails.
Oh my God. Girls, my hair was greasy and half curly, half straight, half wavy. There was a lot going on.
It happens. It's camp. Yeah. But we have a great time at this camp, and I had a great time hanging out with you at this camp. I don't know, don't tell anyone, but you were one of my favorite people to hang out with. So that's totally true. So before we jump in, would you like to share a few things about yourself? Maybe let some girls know who may not know you, who you are, what you do.
So my name is Ashtyn Crank. I am 17 years old, and my parents are pastors of a church called Faith Church. We have campuses in St. Louis, Missouri, and West Palm Beach, Florida. So I get the honor to kind of travel back and forth every other week. So it's crazy. It's awesome. And I don't know, it's super cool, but I lead worship for my church. So I'm a singer. I play guitar. I play piano. I write. I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and you're so good. Y'all, if you have not heard this girl sing, she is like a beautiful angel. Yeah, go listen to all the things that she does. Actually, you guys have some music out, right? That you're singing on. Did you write any of this?
Yeah, I collab. So it's pretty much the whole team, Faith Church Collective. We all collaborated and wrote both. We have 2 singles. One's called Drippin' in Favor, and it's super like hype, fun.
It's so fun.
Deep with the windows down type of vibe. And then All for Love we wrote for Easter. And that's more of like your ballad worship song for your prayer Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
So no, I love it. I love my team, and yeah, they killed these projects. So.
Oh, it's so good. So just so you guys know, if you want an easy way to check it out, I will link it down below. So do check the show notes, and we'll have those in there. But speaking of songs, I wanted us to do something a little fun just as we're getting into today's episode. And I'm calling this the 10-second song challenge. So it doesn't have to literally be 10 seconds, but just very short. I am going to give you a little prompt for a song, and then I want you to just sing a song that this prompt makes you think of. Just give us a little chorus or something like that.
I'm ready. I'm nervous. Competitive. So you have my blood like pumping.
Woo. I always feel like when I'm singing, adrenaline helps me just a little bit. Well, until it doesn't.
Until your voice cracks or something.
That actually happened this Sunday. That's probably TMI, but I was singing this Sunday, and I don't know why I never feel this nervous, but there was this song that was just really hard. And the song started, and it was like, boom, adrenaline. And my voice, it took me a second. My voice started shaking just a little bit. It was fine. It was fine.
My voice cracks every weekend.
Does it?
Yes, for sure.
Ooh, it makes me feel better.
I'm praying that the Instagram account Worship Fails never like gets a hold of one of those, because I would be viral. Like there's just some bad moments.
I'm kind of praying that Worship Fails finds me just so that everyone can be laughing with me instead of me just like cringing inside all the time. At least I would know that people are laughing.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get going with this 10-second song challenge. The first prompt is this, okay? It is the song you'll never not sing in the shower.
Ooh, that's so hard. Oh, I'm blinking. Yikes. Probably baby, baby, baby. Oh, like baby, baby. Justin Bieber, baby.
That's so good. I love that. Kicking it back, old school. Was Justin your fave when you were younger, or was it someone else?
Married in my mind, like cardboard cutout in the bedroom. It
yeah,
was 100 Justin Bieber all the time.
That's so funny. Mine was Nick Jonas all the way, and I had a whole entire wall in my bedroom devoted to Nick Jonas posters. Like the whole thing was filled.
That is amazing. That's at its finest. I love it.
It was, yeah. When I invited people over, they were like, "Oh, you're kind of weird," and I was like, "No, you don't understand. This is my husband.
I love him.
Yeah, he's so good." And Justin, we love Justin too. We love all the people. Okay, here's the next one. Here we go. If 2020 were a song,
ooh. What's that old song? I will survive, oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. That one. 2020, we made it.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love that. I Will Survive is definitely one for me. Or that song, do you know that one? You make me believe that.
Oh, yeah, Imagine Dragons.
Yes, that song, I feel like just because 2020 it stretched my faith, and it made me more of a believer in Jesus. I just had to say, take it, Jesus.
Jesus the wheel.
Jesus take the wheel. There's another one. Okay, here's number 3. This is the last one. Favorite song to sing at Faith Church?
Ooh, I'll probably have to say Dripping in Favor. I'm walking in my jubilee, that Holy Spirit energy.
Super so fun. Good. I love that song. Y'all killed it on that. Okay, so today on the podcast, we are talking about the best parts of growing up in the church and the worst parts of growing up in the church. And maybe if you're listening today, maybe you're new to the church, or maybe you've been a part of a church community for a very long time. But it's no surprise that there are great things about being a part of the church because it is a community of people who are focused on Jesus, who have made following Christ their number one priority in their lives. And that's an incredible thing. But we also know that the bad thing about a church community is that it is full of people, and people, that's you and me and everyone that's listening to this podcast and everyone that's thinking about people, those people that you're thinking about when I say this, everyone is broken in some way. And so that means that sometimes bad things happen in the church community. But it's important for us to stay connected to the church community. So we're going to be talking about that today. And Ashtyn, you have grown up in the church, correct?
Yes, ma'am. My whole life.
Your whole life. And how long have your parents been pastors your whole life?
Yeah, so originally my grandpa started the church, and my dad was the worship leader. But when I was 3 months old, my grandpa passed away of melanoma skin cancer. And so it was super out of the blue. My parents ended up taking over the church. So I was just a wee little infant since they took that over. So my whole life.
Your whole life, and gosh, at least a generation back. That's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. What a cool thing. So you are a church girl for real from the way back. I too, I've also grown up in the church my entire life. And so I feel like we're going to have some really good stories today. And so I just wanted us to start off by sharing some memorable stories, some good stories about growing up in the church. So do you have, what's the best memory that just sticks out in your mind?
The best memory, honestly, just growing up in church, you have so much community. So I went to school only until 3rd grade, and then I was homeschooled. I'm your average Christian homeschooler, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no, just all the times that I can remember just running around the church with my friends and playing church, pretending to be a worship leader on the stage, dancing, all the conferences that, got to be a part of. That's probably my fondest. It's not one specific memory.
Yeah.
The overall of the community of, it doesn't matter what, school you go to, what part of town you lived in, but on Sundays, on Saturdays, on our midweek, we'd all end up there together, just hanging out, having a blast with people who believe the same things as you.
Yeah. You're talking about just running around as a little church. We call them the little church rugrats around our place. And we literally, our office, if you come in during the week, we've got church kids who are running around doing we have a lot of homeschooled church kids around our place. And so they're doing their homeschool at the church, and it's a blast. But it reminds me of when I was a little church kid, rugrat running around. I was probably about 5 years old, and me and a couple other girls, they were my BFFs. We had decided that we were creating a girl group. We were very inspired by Jump 5. Did you ever listen to Jump 5?
It sounds so familiar, but I'm not there.
It's all right. They were a Christian, they weren't a boy band because there were girls in it too, but they were a singing group, I guess you would call them. So we were so inspired by this group, Jump 5. We decided that we were going to make our own girl group, and my parents asked us to sing God Bless the USA for a special service. And back then, we were at a little Baptist church, and so they called it a special. Okay, they asked us to sing a special.
Little special.
Yeah. So we got up on the stage. I was 5. I think the other girl was 5. And then another girl was 7, something like that. We practiced all our harmonies. We were ready to go. My mom, of course, dressed me in a kind of patriotic outfit. It was red, white, and blue, all the things. My hair was curled. I slept in the curlers the night before. I was ready to go. And we sang this song. Okay. And then at the very end, I don't know what was going through my brain, but I was I guess I was just this is my moment to shine. And I literally did like the High School Musical jump. You know what I'm talking about? Where their legs go back.
Yeah. Arms up, feet in the air. Yeah.
Yes. So I did that. Like the song ended. It was God Bless the USA. So it was like very dramatic. And then at the end, I jumped off the stage. I did like the High School Musical jump and like threw my legs back in the air and was like, yeah. And I got in so much trouble. So much trouble. But it was so
That's awesome.
It was so fun. I don't know. What about you? Did you get to sing as a kid? I know you. When was the first time you started singing at church?
I sang. So when I was little, I was obsessed with High School Musical. My dream was to be like Sharpay Evans,
Yeah.
Vanessa, or Gabriela Montez. That was like my dream. And so I grew up like in, Faith Kids, doing the little motions like Jesus rocks, yeah. All little moves,
Yeah.
So I grew up just my whole life singing there. And then I actually started singing on the main stage. I think I was 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
Started singing on our midweek. So yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I was a part of the kids choirs. I remember one time, this is a good one. My dad was preaching and he decided to bring a donkey on stage and have me like walk the donkey out onto the stage during the message. And so I'm standing there and I was like, there's 1,000 people out there in the crowd looking at me. I'm like, I'm going to ham it up. I'm like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I'm hamming it up for the crowd. I'm like grabbing the donkey, kissing the donkey, like resting my head, petting it. And the crowd was just like loose the whole time, like, oohing and awing. And so my dad ended up cutting me walking out for the rest of the services. He was like, it was just too cute that people aren't grasping the reason that we like they're not connecting it with Jesus. They're like at the Ashtyn Crank show.
Yeah.
That was a really great memory. I loved this donkey. that was fun for me.
I love that. Donkeys make me think of like Christmas time. And I feel like as a church kid, Christmas time it's like the best of times and it's the worst of times because if you are, especially if you're a PK, your parents are they're going to be at the church 24/7, leading
all
up
hours of the night, no sleep.
Yes. Nobody gets sleep. The Christmas activities. My parents tried so hard to like squeeze in a couple days of like, on this day we're going to build a gingerbread house. And on this day we're going to go, ice skating or whatever. But for the most part, it's like go, 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 go.
Yeah. Rehearsal, meeting, rehearsal for sure.
Yes. But I feel like, at least as a church kid, one of the best parts of Christmas is, first of all, that people will bring you. Tell me if this is true for you. I hope it's true for you. That people will bring you gifts, like some people that like you haven't even talked to.
Oh yeah,
hardly at all.
Peanut butter bites.
Yes,
all of it.
Mostly gifts of food.
Yeah. Little like handmade chocolate covered pretzels, brownies, the whole bakery. We had a bake sale.
Yes.
A bake sale.
You're just like taking home. My favorite treat that someone brought, I still remember this, was like, I don't remember what you call it. It's like a Swiss roll, but like giant. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a cake and they roll it up.
That sounds so good. I don't know what it is, but it sounds phenomenal.
It's a log. Nope, I'm not going to remember. It's okay. We'll look it up later.
Someone will probably like comment it to you.
Yes.
Know what you're talking about.
Somebody, please. Let me know what it is.
Yeah,
yeah, but it was so good. And I remember just taking that home on Christmas Eve and literally devouring it that night. Like, oh, yes. The whole thing. But Christmas is always the best. And then it's sort of like when you're doing a workout, like a really hard workout and you're like, oh, I'm so tired. And then when you finish, like you feel so good. You feel like so accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I always felt at Christmas time. It was like it was like, we're going. And then when we like finally sit down and we like do our like family Christmas celebration, it's like, oh, yes. The best time.
Finally, it works out. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Christmas and Easter, it's always like go, go, go. And it's easy to get like caught up in the go, go, go. Actually, this past Easter, it was a doozy at our church. It was like rehearsals. I was there till like 2, 3 in the morning every night. And then I like had gotten so caught up in all the details that I had like gotten the real reason like we're actually doing it. And I remember it was Good Friday. We had a Good Friday service, and I just like broke down in tears after the service because the auditorium. We always say like people always come to church on Christmas and Easter. We got the Creasters.
Yes.
And so I broke down in tears, and I was like, man, I just really remembered like the real reason that, you know, we did that, and the real reason that we stayed so late and put in so much hard work was for the fulfillment of, man, these people who might not have ever been to church before, or it's their first time coming to church in 10 years. They're there and they're just being so touched and lives are being changed. It just like, it hit me so hard. And I was like, man, I've been taking it for granted.
It's so hard in those moments, you know, when everything's just so busy and you get lost in what you're doing. And I remember just telling myself over and over again, like, okay, remember, Jesus died, he rose again, he loves you. Like, that's what I had to keep saying, because otherwise you forget, you just get lost in the go, go, go of everything that's going on at those, at the Creaster combo moment. Yeah. I love that. I'm going to be using that forever now. What is the craziest, just talking about memories, and I want to keep talking about some good memories, but what is the craziest Christmas, what's the craziest thing that happened at Christmas time? Yeah, you got a good story to share?
That is so hard. We, for the past, we actually stopped doing it, I think around 2 years ago, but for like a majority of my life, we had this huge Christmas production. And there was 2. We had one called Believe and one called Under the Tree. And for Believe, I was main cast. I was an Oscar-nominated actress. And I was Sandra Bullock. I was Meryl Streep, my 11-year-old self, you know?
Yeah.
But man, we had so many crazy things happen. Like, we had a live nativity and donkeys just like used the bathroom on stage. Actually, we had a horse one time, a horse and carriage. And we had singers in the back of this horse and carriage. And the horse decided in the middle of the song that it just really had to go to the bathroom. And there was, you know, probably 2,000 people out in the crowd, and this horse is using the bathroom. And like, I think somebody stepped in it, and it was just like a big ordeal. We had to figure out how to like clean it up on the spot. I don't know. We've had anywhere from that to people falling off a zip line and like breaking bones.
Oh gosh.
So in other news, we no longer have our Christmas production. But it was really awesome for the time being.
Okay, so this is a crazy Christmas moment. I graduated from college. I had just come on staff at TCC officially, and it was time to get ready for Christmas. And I don't really know why I did this. I mean, I could come up with a million reasons why I think I did this, but I know I really wanted us to just boost our creativity, you know? And so I tried to figure out some kind of story that we could tell. Well, the problem is we don't do a Christmas production. We do a Christmas service. And I tried to turn the service into like a musical, but we still had to do service things, if that makes sense. And so I decided I would split the service in half. So half of it was a production and half of it was like a Christmas service. And I wrote the script for us to kind of play off of The Grinch.
Yeah.
The Grinch's story, and we did like a zillion of these services where basically the Grinch was on stage and we only had like 30 minutes to tell the Grinch's story. So it definitely wasn't enough time. And then somehow I had to figure out how to transition us like naturally from the Grinch's story to a like Christmas kind of worship service. And so at the end, the Grinch's heart grew like 10 zillion times as he does. And we sang some sort of Christmas worship song. And it was like, it was weird. It was so weird. And it was all my fault.
Will come all ye faithful.
Yeah, something like that. It was, anyway. Oh, it was bizarre. It was bizarre. And they trusted me. They trusted me. And and it didn't work. And we did it anyway. And I've learned a lot. Okay. I'm a lot better now, but that was weird.
That is awesome.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So moving from great memories, have you ever had any like bad, weird memories? Maybe something that just sharing. The reason we're sharing these is not to, I don't really share anything negative about the church, because I think you and I both believe that the church is the best place to be. But just to show to people that yes, we love the church still, even though we've experienced some negative moments within the church. So do you have any story like that you might share?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's really easy to be hurt in the church because the church is just filled with, it makes you feel a lot of emotions. You know, like you go into worship and you're crying out to God and you feel so good, and you hear a testimony and you know, your heart breaks and you just feel so compassionate for others. You feel a lot of emotion. So it's easy when you're emotional to be hurt by something. And so for me, it's been really hard, and I've had to really work at like commitment issues, because growing up in the church, being a pastor's kid, I've been here and I've never left the church, you know? And so many people come and go so fast. Like we'll hire a staff member and, you know, you'll love them and you'll love their wife or their husband and their kids. And you babysit for the kids and you take pictures with the kids and you love them so much and so deep. And then to see them go and maybe move away or go to another church or fall away from church altogether, it's really easy to just like start building up these walls of, you know, no new friends. If people come in, I'm not going to give them the time of day. And that's something that I've really had to work on, and to realize like there's friends for a reason, friends for a season, and friends for a lifetime. And, you know, maybe people, God put them in your life to fill a void in that season or to teach you a lesson. And it doesn't mean that, you know, those people are going to stay forever. They're not maybe called to your ministry forever. And so that's just been something that I've really had to work on of, no, you can trust people. You can open up. And it doesn't always need to hurt so deep. Yeah. So it's always something that I'm still working on to this day is, you know, you can trust. You don't have to, you know, give people half of you. You can give yourself fully to these people who are coming in who need help or whatever. And just because they leave doesn't mean that the church is bad. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It just means, you know, God may be calling them to a new season. So
yeah. Wow. That's really good. Yeah. Talking about like just people leaving. Sometimes I don't know what's harder when maybe older kind of mentor like people leave because you've spent time, you know, trusting them and allowing them to pour into you. Or when like people your age, when friend type people leave. I know me personally, like I've had so many moments where I have built relationships with people my age, and then they've stepped out, and some of them have stepped out in ways where it seems like, okay, like I understand this, you know, like hey, I'm moving, that kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, you're moving, like no one can help this. But other people have left in really weird ways.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest for me, because I'm so personally invested in the church, is, you know, the church is, it's like my brother, it's like my sister, like, you
Right.
know, it's part of the church, it's part of the family. But so the hardest part for me is when people are like, hey, I'm leaving because I don't like this church, you know, or I don't like what's happening at this church. And I've had some real, like, I'm not going to lie to you, I've had some real knockdown, drag out conversations where I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, if you leave, like, and you're frustrated about the church, like, it's nothing that you're frustrated about is going to change, because you're not going to be here to help change it, you know? Right. Like those kinds of things. It's like we build together. And so I think for me, those are the hardest conversations, and the hardest moments, the most hurtful moments, is when people leave because of the church, because I love the church. I love being a part of the church as a whole, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That can be really hard. And we have people come and go so often that I found it's easier to, like, a lot of times people will leave the church and they'll be gone for 2 years and they'll come back because they realize that, you know, God called them to this place. And when you're out of the will of God, like nothing will go right for you. So like they come back and all is healed and all is restored. And it's so awesome. And then there's other times where people really do leave and they really are hurt. What's really hard for me is whenever I see people that I know and I love leave the church and they don't just go to another church. They leave the church and they're like so hurt and so jaded. Or well, I also see people who are like, love God and they love the church and they feel like they've been held back by not like involved in what the world has to offer. And I'm like, please, I'm begging you not to go down this road. Because like sin is so fun for a season. The Bible says the wages of sin is death. And so the world, it has this glitz and it has this glamour and it looks so cool and so awesome. But whenever you peel back the sticker, you peel off the tags, you just see like how awful it is. But it's awesome because if you are raised in the church, I've seen so many people go this direction. But when like you're raised in it and the word is hidden in your heart, even whenever it's super deep down, it's still in you. And so even like I tell people all the time, parents will come to me and they'll be like, I raised my kid in church. They, you know, are off doing their own thing right now. They're partying, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're, you know, off being wild and crazy. And I'm like, I promise you, like they'll find their way back because it's in you. The word never leaves your heart. So, you know, people, no matter how far you go, you'll still remember Jesus is the answer. Cause it's just like, it's in you. It's a mustard seed. And so, yeah, I really do believe that, you know, even if you leave, there's those ties will never be completely cut off. You still know. And eventually, even if you're stubborn and you don't want to go back, eventually you'll find your way back.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's so good. You're talking about, you know, people leaving the church because of feeling hurt, because things are sometimes a little messy in the church. And one thing that I always find so interesting about the church is that the church kind of started as a mess, you know? The church's history, the church's story is a group of messy people who found a way to come together around one common denominator, and that's Jesus, you know? And the goal of the church is not to be a perfect group of people. I mean, ultimately, yes, we're becoming more perfect every day, but the church as a whole, the goal of the church is to grow the kingdom of God and to make heaven super, super full with all the people, right?
Mhm.
And so I think if we're achieving those ends and we're continuing to work on ourselves and pursue Christ, then all we can do as people is stay committed to the local church, no matter how messy it is, you know? You flip through the letters that Paul has written, and you'll see story after story after story of churches in different locations who are probably a lot messier than most churches. I say most churches because there may be some kookadoo churches out there, but most churches that you're gonna attend, and you know, if you attend Faith Church and you feel frustrated there, you bet you open up some of those letters and stay committed to Faith Church, because God is moving in places where people are faithful. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the Connection Church as well. That's where I'm at. So if you're feeling crazy at the Connection Church, you just open up those letters, and I'll promise you it's a lot better than what was going on there. That's what gets me sometimes. So, Ashtyn, what is the importance? Why should we stay connected to the church even when we're feeling frustrated?
Because you're going to leave. And when you leave, you're going to feel even more frustrated deep down, because you never really dealt with the root. You maybe dealt with the fruit, but you didn't deal with the root. So yeah, you really have to just like stick through it. It's kind of like the Bible, Matthew 18 says, go to the person, and you have to just like deal with it head on. You have to not be afraid of conflict, and don't do it in, an angry, rebellious way. But it is like, I've had to, growing up, there's been times that I've gotten offended with things that have happened in the church. And either you have to realize there's two things: either someone else is in the wrong or you're in the wrong. And if you're in the wrong, you have to be willing to admit that you're at fault. And to be like, man, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, and pray about it. And the only person that can heal you from that is you. And so you gotta admit it, quit it, and forget it, and move on. But if, there's someone who has really offended you, that's really hurt your feelings, you got to Matthew 18 them, and you got to go and deal with it head on and say, hey, this happened. This hurt my feelings. Because if you just leave and go to another church and God didn't call you there, you're going to be on the will of God. And that's, at the end of the day, not going to be good for you.
Wow.
So you really, like, before you leave a church, you got to make sure that God's calling you to another church. You can't just be church hopping, going, to Elevation or Transformation Church online. If God didn't call you there, that's not where you're supposed to be. And it's no tea, no shade. Listen to other pastors, listen to podcasts, watch other places online, but you're called to be committed to a local church. So, if you've been hurt, you got to deal with the hurt head on and not let it get in your heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen a lot of people, believe it or not, it's funny, I was talking about this yesterday, but believe it or not, any issue, I'm talking to you who may be listening right now, any issue that you may be going through in a church, your church leaders have probably seen it before. Any issue that happens in the church, personal issue, I promise you, like, I've seen it play out 100-fold with people. And so I would encourage you, if you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling hurt about something at the church, even if it is like let's say it's with a specific leader, go to them, talk to them about it, because they may know something that you may not know. This was just a revelation to me, really. Even though I had grown up in the church, when I was in Phoenix, I was going to a church there, and I remember quite a few times feeling frustrated. I hate to admit it, but I had felt frustrated a time or two because I felt like I wasn't getting to do what I wanted to do, what I felt like I was called to do, and looking back and taking on responsibility of leading teams myself, I realized that sometimes leaders know things that they can't always tell you right away, you know? Sometimes there are things going on that are going to keep you in a certain spot. Sometimes there are things going on with your own life that leaders see and are waiting for you to work through, you know, before you get to step up to the next level, you know? And so anyway, all that to say, have conversations with your leaders. If you're feeling frustrated, do not run away with your issues, because when you run away with your issues, what are you taking with you? Your issues. You don't want to take those with you anywhere. You want to lay them down. And the way you do that is by having real conversations with real people.
So good.
Oh, sometimes that's hard. Sometimes that's hard for us. I've had trouble in the past with talking about real things with people. Have you ever had trouble with that, Ashtyn?
All the time. It's so easy to talk about other people's issues and how other people can get better. But when it comes to you, it's so hard to like be honest and be real with yourself about, hey, this is what I got going on. Here's my read my mail kind of thing. That can be so hard. But you have to just have someone in your life that like you feel comfortable enough with, who's like a spiritual leader, a mentor, that you can feel comfortable being honest with, that you know, like it's not going to go past these closed doors. But you gotta work on yourself, because that's so true what you were saying. I love that. You were like, hey, sometimes leaders see things in you and they can't raise you up for the time being because, you know, they know this thing's going on, or they know that you need to grow in this area and you may not realize it. But if you don't have the conversation, you'll never know what the reason is, and you'll just be so frustrated. Why can't I, you know, if you're why can't I lead a song? Well, maybe you're posting on your social media that you're out clubbing with your friends, you know, like you can be a representation on a stage like that. Or maybe you're, you know, you're gossiping and they know that you're out talking about people. Well, you can't lead people into worship. You can't be that representation on stage that's, you know, leading people into the presence of God if you've got stuff going on. And that's just like having a leader that can be super honest and transparent with you is so needed and so awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question for you, and it's this. Do you have any leadership lessons, some specific leadership lessons that you might have learned from growing up in the church? I feel like there's so many things that that as lifetime church girls learn on the daily. Are there any specific lessons that you have learned from growing up in the church that you can share with us?
I think growing up in the church is the ultimate leadership lesson.
Yeah.
In itself, there it is. No, but being a pastor's kid, I was raised like right after school, running straight into meetings with my parents. I'd be like on the floor coloring, just constantly hearing wisdom from them and from our leadership team. And that's something like being in those meetings and being around those leaders, they're constantly just dripping. We always say, like my dad, he's constantly dripping culture and he's constantly dripping leadership. Yeah. And so it's like keeping your ears open whenever you're around people like, you know, your parents or pastors or people who are watching, if they get a chance to be around like their leaders, people on staff, their senior pastors, just keep your ears on constantly, because they're constantly, I have said constantly 1,000 times, but they're just dripping culture and they're dripping leadership. And if you can pick some of that up and apply it into your own life, whether you're in ministry, you're in school, you're you know, just at your day job, working at wherever, McDonald's, Forever 21, wherever you work, you can apply those things. So yeah, just keep your ears open.
That's great. I remember when I was in college, especially, I wanted to learn as much as I could. And so I literally, almost in a weird way, I'm not going to lie to you, but I literally like would just follow leaders around. I was like, I think they're awesome. So I'm just going to go wherever they go pretty much until they tell me that I need to go away. And I would just soak up like a sponge. I would just soak up everything that I could, you know, taking notes all the time. And I think we all need to be learners. I would go so far as to say we all need to be obsessive learners. Like we need to constantly be learning so that we can be helping others along as well. And so, look for those people who are dripping culture and soak it up. That's awesome.
Soak it up. Be a sponge.
All right. Well, this was a fantastic conversation today. And before we go, we have a tradition here on the podcast of doing this thing that we like to call something fun. And so as a part of something fun, we just want to share something that we can celebrate together so that we can cheer one another on. And just a reminder, if you have something fun, you can share it in the comments below this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, you can share it on our Facebook page, on our Instagram. You can slide into my DMs, girl. Wherever you want to share your something fun, we will collect those and we will share them right here on the podcast. But for today, we want to hear Ashtyn's something fun. So Ashtyn, what can we celebrate with you right now?
Well, I shared this with you before we hopped on this podcast, but I am like deathly afraid of talking in front of people. I cringe. I hate it so much. So my something fun is I just talked on a podcast. Thanks to you. So I conquered a fear.
That's so awesome. I just got so excited. I just clapped into that microphone. I hope it didn't take your ears off, people. But that's amazing. We always want to celebrate girls taking steps forward, trying new things. That's incredible. How do you feel? You feel okay?
I feel great. I feel pumped up. I can't wait to listen back and catch all the little things that you said that I may have missed.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to listen back. And literally, I didn't get to take notes because I'm chatting right now, but I want to write down all the things that you said. It was incredible. Today's podcast was fantastic. Thank you so much, Ashtyn, for joining us. It was such a treat having you on. Before we go, I want to remind you guys of a few quick things. First of all, we want to encourage you to leave a 5 stars and a review below this podcast. The reason that we do this is not because we want to have a podcast that is blowing up, even though we do. We do want to have lots of girls listening to this podcast. But the reason that we want to have lots of girls listening to this podcast is because we're always dropping so many good, encouraging thoughts for you guys. And that's our goal, is to encourage girls and build community. And so a way that you can be a part of that is by leaving us 5 stars, leaving us a good review. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the things, because we want to continue encouraging girls and building community around us. And you can find me on any social media platform at Kenzie Carisse. And also, if you want to see what Ashtyn is up to, we're going to link all of her social below. So check that out as well. It was a great episode today. Thanks for hanging out with us. Have a great week, church girl.